Okay, so since Jay Hatch and I weren't done talking yet, we are doing another one. So, yeah, we're going to just keep it going. Let's see if he comes back in here. We had such an interesting conversation, and we're going to keep it going. So, okay. Well, he's going to come back in there. Hey, Keon, how are you? What's up, Ted, Snoozy? Thanks for still sticking with us because he just... Okay, there we go. All right. Let's see when he comes back in. Okay, oops. Let's see if I can keep... Because I had to put this other one, this first talk online. I had to post it because else you're going to lose it. It's this Instagram thing. I had so many questions for him. I hope you guys find it interesting because this guy is really like, I'm literally looking up to him. So I'm really interested in some of his other thoughts. I don't think it's going to be a whole other hour, but we'll see how that goes. Okay, there we go. All right. Let's get him back in here. Because I was like trying to rush it. I hate rushing it. But when you talk to great people, you can't fit it in an hour. That's just how it is.
And then we're back.
Yes, we're back. So I was kind of rushing that last little part until you were like, "Hey, I got time," because you're busy. You're a busy person. You got camps and stuff and mentor talks. I'm like, okay, I don't want to.
Good thing I'm organized too, so I can manage all that time well.
Very good. So yeah, so I was talking about the people. One of the things that I think was doing good for me is the fact that, I started as a music journalist. A little bit backstory about me. I started as a music journalist, and I started to meet a lot of people. And then, as time progresses, people are like, "Oh, Pay, oh yeah, she's good people." Okay, and I loved hearing that because I'm like, "Oh, okay." Yeah. I didn't even know people knew me, but okay. So then, when you start to know artists that I've interviewed, when the next artist comes to Amsterdam, they're like, "Oh, I'll hook you up. I'll tell them, go talk to Pay." And luckily, my name is not necessarily one that's of many. So people know who Pay is. That's good in my brand. It led me to a point now, 15, 20 years later, where I know that I have a good reputation because I've always been nice to people. I've treated people the same. And that is one of the things that comes with your circle. I also keep my circle small because I've met people that didn't have my best interests at hand. What is your experience in that? Do you have people that came up with you?
Somewhat. For me, I've always been kind of like somewhat of a loner, I guess you could say. Like even through high school, like I had friends, but I was like, because I hung out with like the people that were into music or the people that were into fashion, like, I wasn't like the most popular person. I was more like kind of like just found myself in different spaces. But coming up in the game, I mean, if you say like, the last 15, 20 years, I mean, there's a lot of people that have been around me that have helped me be successful that I keep close. So when things get to a higher level, even than we are where we are now, I'll have a great team around me. But I think it's very easy to, your name is everything, obviously, right? We just talked about that. Like, I go out of my way to make sure that, if somebody feels like I did them wrong in any way, or they feel like, even if it's like not even my fault, maybe they did an event and they're like, "Oh, I should have won," or "I should have," like, okay, like that's just an opinion thing. That's an ego thing. But you know what? I'm going to give you a free slot in the next showcase. Come out, and then you're like, "Oh man, like that's crazy. Like you didn't have to do that." And I'm like, "Well, I want to make sure you're happy. I want to make sure it doesn't sound, like crazy in somebody else's head. You know what I'm saying? Like I want you to know that I'm a legitimate guy." So it's funny because about 2 weeks ago, somebody wanted to get into my event online, and they got they saw a post by like a major producer who posted my thing. And, there's like a little entrance fee. It's like $50 to get involved in it, right? Because I put most of that money back into a trip for the winter and all this other kind of stuff. This guy had this little slight exchange with me, and then goes up and puts something up on this like rip-off report website about how like I'm like taking advantage of black people because I am asking to be paid and compensated for something. Eventually, I'm going to put all that money into this person's prize anyway. But it's also a business.
Yeah.
So, you know, somebody had emailed me saying they saw something. I went back. I talked to the guy. I'm like, bro, like that wasn't even where our conversation was going. Like, you could have just asked me, and I could have, you know, I would probably would have gave you the slot for free. But you know, don't come at me like I'm crazy.
Yeah.
You know, so I try to go out of my way to make sure, and I can only count maybe on one hand or half a hand how many of those problems that I've had, because like I said, I went out of my way. But when somebody does something like that, I'm just like, man, like, don't you see what I'm trying to do out here for everybody? You know, this is about us. This is about us trying to get to another level. Right. And there's about 1,000 people that would come to my defense if I would have put that up online. Right. Like, hey, guys, what do you think about this? Am I this guy? The kid would have probably ended up crying. You know what I mean?
Well,
like, it's just crazy.
Again, honestly, I think you're better than me. I don't know if it's because you're a man or I'm a woman and I get more shit, because I can count them on more than one hand, unfortunately. Again, I don't know what it is. You know, being a woman in the hip hop industry is a whole job in itself. Oh, yeah. You have to have thick skin. Trust me, I've been crying in a corner a few times when I was fresh. You get over it because you want to quit, but then you're like, it's my passion. I'm going to keep going. But I don't go out of my way anymore to correct people. I don't have the energy for it. So I think you're better than me for actually going to that person and saying, hey, man.
Well, you know, as I get older, too, I'm losing my patience as well. But I also still know how important, you know, I mean, you look at big corporations, right? McDonald's and Macy's and all these different companies. I'm sure they probably get like 1,000 of those a day. Yeah. You know, and as a brand, you have to allow people to vent themselves. I was just mad that he went and made it public, without even without putting the complaint, you know, like a complaint in the complaint box. Like there was no that.
He passed you by.
He like went over my manager's head and went right to the company's president. You know what I mean? Right. So I don't know, but at the end of the day, you know, I try to make everybody happy. At the very least, I try to make sure that everybody has a great experience when they do something that I'm involved in, because when I first started, the reason why I started doing showcases is because I took my artist around and every one of these showcases was trash, bad sound, no stage. They'd say so-and-so was going to be there, so-and-so never even heard of you. You know, you didn't know when you were performing. You know, they said you'd get this prize if you won. You never got those prizes. Like,
that's horrible.
So, you know, the mics were janky. There was like, you know, no AC in the venue. Like, you know, we've been through it all back then. So, you know, I said, like, you know, if I'm going to do any of this, I got to make sure that anybody's weaknesses or opportunities became my strengths. And that's what allowed me to kind of soar, like, past everybody trying to do something similar and continue to come in and try to do something similar, because they know I'm the bar. Like, when it comes to events, I'm the bar. And I'm not trying to sound conceited by saying that, but anybody who's been to one of my events knows that when you get there, you get like, you're already a star. Everybody's on the same wavelength. I don't care if you got a plaque on the wall or you just bought your first beat machine. Like, we're all on the same level, you know, and I think that's why I've been able to be so continuously successful and able to grow the way I have, you know. So,
well, I have to say that as much as you give people the tools in your book or in your talks or in your consults, I think you possess some type of skill and talent that comes with you, and you can't always, you know, learn that. Just like you said, you can't really learn networking, but you can learn how to navigate and pull that off. But when it comes to certain jobs in life, not everybody can be the CEO. Not everybody can be the garbage man. So there's a certain skill and talent that comes with you that makes you this successful and this great in this industry, navigating and strategically, etc. So I don't think that's something that necessarily everybody can do. There's a lot of people that I had to say no to, or I had to really tell, hey, you may want to look at other talents. I'm not even going to say you can't do that, but maybe you should explore some other talents. Have you come across that in your encounter with people, or, you know?
Yeah, you know, because my shows were so much about getting people better and giving feedback and constructive criticism, you know, prior to that, when I was working for, you know, the Arab Style, part of my training was how to teach and motivate people in these 4 different ways, like based on the type of person they were. You know, whether they were, you know, a high peak performer or somebody who was new, novice learner type of thing. So you know, one of the things I always learned was that, you know, you have to find a positive in everything.
Yeah.
Find a positive in everything that you think may be negative, right? So maybe the producer plays their beats and everybody else's first intention is to say, oh, that shit is garbage, that shit is whack. You know, I'm going to find something in there. And I always do. I've never been stumped. It could be the snare, it could be the tempo, it could be the vibe, it could be the, you know, whatever. I'm going to be able to provide some sort of information to you to make you get better. Now it's your job to decide if you want to take that, accept that, and get better.
Work with it.
And, you know, like, and I'll tell somebody straight up, like, you're not there yet. You need more. You need to do more. But this is how you can do it. You know, like I had a conversation the other day, one of my creative sessions, like this producer, like part of the job is to come together and collaborate on site. One producer's never done that. He doesn't even know, and I vet everybody, and his beats are cool, but he doesn't know how to like make a song for so-and-so to write on. And he doesn't know how to collaborate in order to make what he does good, somebody else does good, and mesh it into one process, you know? So I had to sit down with him, you know, in between the session and say, listen, like, you have to let your guard down a little bit. Yeah. You got to allow yourself to fail. You have to fall on your face to be successful.
To grow.
Nobody in any one of these Forbes magazines or whatever, all these billionaires, somebody had to fail at some point in their career to get better and learn. Yeah. So I suggested too, I said, why don't you just sit in on one of these sessions, see how everybody else is doing it, and then the next time you come, I'll put you with somebody who maybe is a little more seasoned that can kind of, you know, take over the situation and ask you as opposed to just expecting you to contribute. He was like, yo, I really appreciate that, man. He's like, I don't know how you take such time out, because I go to everybody, you know, I make sure everybody's comfortable, and they're like, I just don't, like, that would take me 5 years what it took you 15 seconds to do. Yeah. You know, that's just, like you said, I'm not sure if it's something I got from my upbringing, my mom, my dad, my experience, whatever. Yeah. But that's just how but it's the only way I know how to be. I can't accept you to not understand your potential.
Right. No, but that's part personality, part maybe upbringing, but it's something that you possess, and that's not necessarily something people can learn. You can pay attention to it. You can be aware of not having it or having to pay attention to that, but it's not necessarily something that everybody can apply on the spot. And it may be able to be learned, but maybe over time, because for you have to figure all of that out about yourself as well. Right. The fact that you now address it as that's the only way I can be, you probably didn't know that years ago, that was the only way.
It took a lot. It took a lot of trials and tribulations to realize those things.
and self-reflection and you know, just being with yourself in order to know who you are before you can even, you know, help others. I think that's one of the strengths of people that help others. You can't help others if you don't know who you are, because what are you contributing? Some of the points that I still wanted to address that we didn't get to in the first hour is you talk about, in your book, you talk about leverage. I thought that was a very, very interesting subject, because that is not something that people often talk about. For those who just tuned in, this is the book. Buy it if you don't have it, or don't buy it, or buy it and give it to somebody that you think should need it. I'm getting 10% of the sales. No, I'm kidding.
But you start managing me, Jesus.
No, it's just a good book. Leverage. Can you explain to those who are tuned in what you mean with, you know, leveraging yourself, or make sure that you have leverage?
Definitely. You know, it's actually kind of like almost two-part, like, you know, leverage and value. You know, when I first kind of started out, when I left my job, you know, because I had already had an artist and I was out and about, you know, going to all these events, I started building great relationships with, you know, people in the journalism world. You know, websites and blogs were just kind of starting to pop, you know, back then. You know, this new wave of the digital era was starting to come about. MySpace, Black Planet, all the different, you know, we're just scratching the surface of it. So I acknowledged that early on, and you know, I said, like, how could I be of value to somebody else that maybe needs help in some way, and knowing that I'm capable of doing anything I put my mind to. What areas do I feel like people would benefit right now? Right. So, you know, at the time, mixtapes were a big thing. Blogs and sites, you know, getting on radio was a big thing. So what I did was, you know, I was doing showcases. I was managing one of the biggest mixtape DJs at the time, Bedtime 357, who's a Remy Ma's DJ. At the time, he was CL Smooth's DJ. Then I also wrote for like 4 different magazines, and I was doing this radio show. So one of the things that I mentioned in the book is when I was going to one of these events, and I met Lenny S., who at the time was like, you know, Jay-Z's right-hand man, you know, Def Jam. Actually, at Rockefeller, it wasn't even Def Jam yet. And, you know, everybody after his conversation, they interviewed him on stage, everybody just rushed him. CDs, you know, packages, T-shirts, hats, whatever, you know, rushing him. And me being who I am, I'm an observer at first, just kind of watched everybody, and then I realized, I said, you know what? I'm going to approach him when he least expects it. So he's leaving. He gets out to the front door. I quickly, like, follow him out. And I just approached him. And I said, hey, Lenny, I said, like, you know, my name is Jay Hatch. So I'm a really big fan of yours. I said, you're a super inspiration to entrepreneurs. I said, you know, I'd love to be able to communicate with you. I know you have an artist named Shot Stimuli. I do mixtapes. I do showcases, radio. I write for magazines. How can I help you, you know, with your artists? And he's like, really? You do all that? He's like, you know Shot? I'm like, yeah, I know Shot. He's dope. I actually know Shot. Okay, cool. He's like, yeah, why don't you come to the office tomorrow? Or call me at the office tomorrow at like 2 o'clock. Called him at like 1:59. He picked up my phone call. Great conversation. Years of building, me helping him out. And then I never really told him that I managed producers. Really, I'd love to get him beats for, you know, Fab, Jay-Z, whoever the case he was working with. So it was one day, he's just like, yo, Hatch, like, what do you really do, bro? Like, you do more than just this, I know. And I said, well, you know, I managed some producers. And at the time, I managed Jimi Kendrix, who did My Way for Hove. And he was like, you got beats? I'm like, yeah, I got beats. He's like, why didn't you tell me? I was like, because it wasn't about me. I was like, this is about us. I was trying to help you. I was trying to get some value and get some leverage to build a relationship with you to show you how hungry I was before I asked for anything.
Right.
And he's like, you've done more than enough. He's like, what are you doing tonight? I said, nothing really. He's like, all right. He's like, you got some beats on you? I said, yeah, of course. I always stay strapped. He's like, I'm bringing you to the studio tonight with Fabulous. Play Fabulous some joints. I was like, wow, okay, that's dope. Went in, met Fab, played him like 10 records. He didn't pick anything, but gave feedback. He liked a few of them. He just had records similar to those. And he, you know, it just allowed me to have an open door with Fab and his management. And now Lenny S., almost 20 years later, now he's managing Khaled and, you know, all these great things that he's doing. I could text him at a given time, and he calls me every once in a while. And it's just good to know that by having this mindset of, you know, creating leverage, creating value within yourself, that you can, you know, work with people on a specific level that could take you to others. Because end of the day, with social media, now we got the cheat code. Yeah, like, you know, like I can watch your feed and see what you're doing tomorrow and offer you help. Hey, Pay, I see my homie Amadeus is on your page. I'm gonna throw it up on my page too, because that's my bro, and I want to see him win. And you know, like, these are just ways that we all, sometimes people don't realize. Like, the leverage could be something as small as you helping somebody move. Yeah, yeah. You posting something on your page because maybe you got an excessive amount of followers. It could be, you know, you telling your friends that you know that would invest in something, do this event because it's worth it. Like, it's not as physical per se. And you don't have to be this like, oh, I've got all this and you know.
It doesn't have to be big. It can be small things that you that are of value, especially now, like you said, in this age. I have to say, you know, you you mentioned Shah, and I've known Shah since, man, you're like mentioning names, like your whole book was mentioning names that I was like, oh dang, that's like way ago.
Surprised we never met back then.
Well, yeah, well, that's what happened with a lot of people that I've had on my little show here. Like, we were bound to meet at some point because we all know the same people. So it was one way or another, whether it was now or in future, we were going to meet at some point because we all are in the same circle. The difference is I'm in Amsterdam, so the fact that I have a big network in the States is kind of like still like wow to myself. Like, how did I do that as a little lady from Amsterdam? But what was I going to say? Yeah, MySpace. You mentioned MySpace. I have to say that I got probably 80% of my interviews back then off of MySpace. People don't know how to use it or use it for whatever they want to use it for. But I used those sites back then already for, reaching out to people. I mean, if they say no, or if they don't respond, then, oh, well, I tried,
Right.
I got about 80% of my interviews from MySpace, and people laugh at me, but hey, look at where I am now. I know people, I got them in my phone. I built relationships because this is like what we're talking about 15 years ago, and I still know them, and I can still, ask them for help or stuff or feedback or whatever. So like you said, with Instagram, share something and people see it. People see who's in your corner. And so, that's, I say also building credits, I guess. And it's not necessarily one-on-one, but you just see who supports you. That's
Absolutely.
Future Tunes. Yep. That's an old school friend of mine. Thanks for being in here. The last thing I want to ask you, because I don't want to do a whole full hour again. No Plan B was one of the things that really resonated with me. Short story, when I started my business, I had two partners, and I was the only one running. So at one point I was talking to them like, hey man, I'm doing all this by myself. We got this, we got all of the percentages cut, but I feel like I'm doing everything. And I had to sit down with them like, what's going on? Well, I'm still doing this work and I got a day job and I still want to do this. I'm like, well, I don't have anything. I don't have a plan.
Right.
Well, we got to fall back on something. Well, if you want to do that and you're not 100% committed to my business, then let's not be partners. That's fine.
Right.
We're still friends. You can do your day job. And I'm going to run and I'm going to keep all the money. I'm not going to give a percentage to somebody that's not fully committed. And also, if you feel like you need your plan B, then you're not believing enough for me in this business or in this path that we're taking. And I don't want to work with those people. We can be friends, but I do not want to be working with a person that doesn't believe as much in something as I do.
Right.
So no plan B. A lot of people laughed at me for not having a plan B. But if you don't have a plan B, that means you'll do everything to make plan A work. Again, this is why I do what I do.
Amadeus in the building.
What's up, King? Yep, he's the one that got us in here together.
Right.
So shout out to Amadeus. I honestly, in the short time that I've known him, I come to love him. Like, seriously, like,
he's a great guy, bro.
He's one of the greatest people I've ever met, and I've met a whole bunch of people, especially in this industry. You already know that
I would agree.
Is just ridiculous. So when you meet good people, you cherish them.
Absolutely.
So the No Plan B, how is that? Why did you come to No Plan B, and how have you had conversations with people about No Plan B? What's your experience with that?
Well, I would hear people say things like, well, if this doesn't work out, I'll just do that. And I feel like when you don't put all your efforts into being great or doing something that you truly believe in, and then just know you have a fallback plan, that you're always going to know that there's a fallback plan, so you're never really going to fully give 100%.
Right.
I give 150%, to my plan A's, and when I say plan B, a lot of that really means like never really going backwards.
Right.
It doesn't mean, I started off as a rapper. I was signed to Slick Rick's DJ. I was spitting with Dot X and Grand Poobah and
oh my gosh,
all these major dudes, back in the day. And then, I show up one day at the studio and there's a pink slip on the door saying studio closed till further notice. And I didn't have closure for almost 10 years in that conversation. My manager disappeared. So, you know, I put all my eggs in that basket, and then I ended up going back to work, and that's where I worked at Aeropostale for those 8 years.
Yeah.
But then when I came back to me, my life plan to never not do anything music oriented.
Right.
So
Yes.
if I don't, you know, if I don't succeed with I standard,
right,
or don't follow that out until I die, doesn't mean I have a plan B if I start a new business, and it just means that my trajectory of which way forward just got either a little wider or a little narrower. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I always felt like I had to be somebody who said that, because there's way too many people who say, well, you know, if it doesn't work out, I'm just going to go do that. Well, then why start it in the first place? You know?
Yeah. But that's exactly why I was
like,
finally another person that's saying it, because I got laughed at so much. I even got somebody saying, so Pip, when are you going to get a real job again?
Oh, man.
That was like the biggest insult I could get. Like, yo, man.
Let me tell you something about that real fast. So, you know, 20 years is a long time, right? You know,
yeah.
It doesn't seem that long as we've been through it. It seems like it actually passed pretty quickly. But in the course of, you know, 20 years, just imagine nobody really knowing the language, right, of the music industry. Like, you know, it's ever changing. So the average person doesn't even know what a producer is, a record label. They don't know, like, the ins and outs like we do.
Right.
When my same uncle, for the last 20 years, every single time he sees me, every single time, no matter what, always the first question is, hey, so, you know, how's the business? Good. You making any money?
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't had to go back to work for anybody else for 20 years, so I'm doing something right, you know?
No, right.
I'm not in major debt. I don't, you know, I'm not homeless, you know, like, I'm okay. I'm doing what I love to do. Or, you know, and I could ask that same question to somebody who works a 9 to 5.
Right.
Who makes, you know, $9 an hour, who's not happy with their life. Why? Just because you have a job and you make $10 an hour and you get a check at the end of the week? So I can make that money in one day if I put my focus on it, you know? Like, not to discredit you getting paid, but if you really want to do something, and I'll close this with this. My father, before he passed away, several years prior, you know, he was a graphic artist, right? Super dope. He was very instrumental in the design of everything Blue Cross Blue Shield, the insurance company, like when they transformed their whole brand like about 30 years ago. And he was an amazing graphic artist. So my mom always said, like, why don't you go and, like, do your own thing? She's like, I'll even take a second job if this is what you really want to do. You know, and my dad was always like, you know, I coulda, I shoulda, I woulda, and always kind of felt like he didn't want to put that on my mom, so maybe she could hold it over his head someday, or, you know, he had kids, so he felt like he had to be there. So, you know, he decided not to do that. And, you know, I always said to myself, especially after he passed, like, I'm never going to say he could have, he should have, he would have, because of him, you know, because I want to follow out whatever maybe he thought his success could have been. I want to be that successful and more, for the fact that there's so many people out there that never follow their full dream because they think that this other path is the one because of the choice they made early on in their life. Like, whether it was to have kids, or just accept making a certain amount of money, or not saving money enough to have money there to take the chance, you know, or taking the chance, having to go backwards. Do you know who JoJo Brim is?
I heard of the name.
The JoJo Brim was an A&R at Def Jam years ago for Memphis Bleak. And he also did, like, all those, like, Coke commercials where downstairs you'd be playing, like, the original song, and upstairs the old dad's hitting with the broom, with the son's playing the Wu-Tang version of the sample. You know, like that. So he came with those ideas. He hired me, one of my first jobs when I got self-employed, he hired me to put on the Power of 7 conference from him. And the one thing I learned was, and it pertains to this Plan B, was something called burn your boat. And, you know, when you say it, you're like, oh, burn your boat, burn your bridge. Like, oh, is it a good thing? No. When you leave whatever destination you're at to start your journey, you're on your boat, right? Yeah. You get to your first goal, which is your first island. You turn around, you get the gasoline out, you torch the boat. Why do you torch the boat? You torch the boat so you don't go backwards.
Yeah, you don't go
Now you walk across this entire new island, which is the experience of this goal, and you build new relationships. You get more materials. Now you got a faster, sleeker, stronger boat to go from that destination to the next one.
Yeah.
Get to the next one, you burn that boat. Now, it's okay if you want to stay in the boat for a couple of minutes, assess the situation, figure it out. Cool.
Yeah.
But don't go backwards.
Yeah.
Even if you got to go around a little bit to try to find there's a better way to get on the island, cool. But just always go in that forward motion and never give up on yourself, knowing that you got this far to not only ever just get this far. You know what I mean?
And yeah, definitely agree. I think I've burned a lot of boats already. To go a little bit into you talking about your parents, you know, my dad was a musician, and he always played the guitar. He was in a band, he was signed, he toured. But then when he got a family, he got a job, and my mom was like, you know, only play on the weekends. So my dad never pursued his dream because also feeling like, you know, responsibilities. Yeah. When I started managing my first artist, I got him to sign with a label in Nashville. And when I told my dad, he was so excited because he always wanted to go and play in Nashville, never did it. And now he's like, my daughter is going to Nashville. And so my dad passed away last year. And I feel like he's giving me the strength to keep doing what I do, because he was so proud of me doing things in the music business. When at first they were all against it, like, why are you should give up this radio show and this and that, and you know, you should just get a job and, you know, get a career. But then they saw that I wasn't really going to do that, and then when they saw I finally this is what makes me happy and this is what actually pays my bills, that's when they were like, okay, well, let's leave this daughter of ours and do her thing. But my dad was really the one that was so proud of me. So I continue this path as well, because he didn't get to live out his dream necessarily music-wise.
Absolutely.
So that's what I wanted to say about my plan B. I honestly, I don't know what my plan B would be. So this is all I know. This is all I got. And as many times as I wanted to quit because this industry can be a real bitch, we just don't give up because this is what we were meant to do. And I do have to say, it takes a certain person to thrive in this industry. It's not for everyone. Entrepreneurship is not for everyone. So I'm not knocking anyone with a 9-to-5 or whoever is a stay-at-home mom or dad. If that is your dream, do it, you know, live it and be the best person you can be. But this industry is not all glamour. In fact, I think it's 5% glamour. It's 95% blood, sweat, and tears. And you have to realize that. Don't just look at the success that people have. I do see a question still. Sure. Oh, that's Keon saying, yo. So Keon also was in one of my talks. He was one of the first that I had as a guest, and I saw that him and Amadeus know each other. So it's a small world. Again, we should all at some point meet somewhere when COVID is
absolutely.
I'll be flying out there and we can all just share war stories or something.
Preferably somewhere where they serve a lot of alcohol.
Yes.
And a nice sandy beach with clear see-through water. How about that?
I agree. I will meet you there. I will
let's
join you for a drink and share war stories, because I feel like we have a lot in common. But I do look up to you as far as the business is concerned. I feel like I can learn a lot from you. I learned a lot from the book. I can implement a lot. So thank you for that. Again, thank you for wanting to be part of this inspirational talk, this motivational talk. I feel like I can still talk to you for 5 more hours. I'm looking forward to building with you. And yeah, thanks. Is there any life motto that you want to go out with?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, telling my story a little bit, being so supportive of the book, buying so many copies. Yes. You know, I think the best advice you could give anybody these days, and it might sound cliche and it might sound so simple, but it's really about just keep going. You know, you have to keep going. Yes, absolutely. You have to keep going, being a part of the conversation, learning. You know, a lot of people within this music industry have been successful because they never left it.
Right.
You know, interns that their boss left and they got promoted, and their other boss left and they got promoted. And You know, one of my friends, Johnny Eamon, is now the VP of A&R at Interscope, and he was like a coffee boy when I first started. You know, now he manages Lana Del Rey, A$AP Rocky. Like, this is somebody who I look at and go, like, wow, even Sean Barron, who I had judge my show yesterday, you know, he was an artist manager that won one of the very first shows I ever did in New York, you know, almost 20 years ago. Wow. So to see him sign people like Ty Dolla $ign and Diggy Simmons and grow into being now the new VP of A&R at Motown Capitol Records, like, you see the faces, you see the names, you see maybe the changing of the guard a little bit and where people move to different, you know, positions or labels or whatever, but they continue to move forward. You have to keep going no matter how hard it gets. Because the one time you don't get up, when you get knocked down, that one massive no you get, it seems like the shit is over. When you say, no, I'm not getting up, you got a million people jumping you in that line.
Yeah.
And it's going to be that much harder to keep going or gain your ground as you continue to go.
Yes.
So as painful, as challenging, as hurt as you may feel or it may be, you got to be like this Rocky mentality, like, get up.
Yeah.
Cut me, Mick. Get up. You know, just always go forward. And I feel like anybody who does that can at the very least see their small successes grow and evolve into bigger successes. And, you know, because even I'm still not where I want to be, which I think a lot of people will say, but I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Yes.
And that's something you also need to learn. And there's one last thing that I'll say, too. It's like people have to change their mentality from I don't have to how can I get.
Yeah.
That's big. Even when it comes to money, like, I don't really have that kind of money. Nah. How can I get that kind of money to do this that I need to do? I want to build my own studio. I don't really have the money. How could I get it? What kind of skill set can you monetize? How many more extra hours a week do you have to work?
Right.
How many less pairs of sneakers are you going to buy?
Right.
How many times are you going to spend money on Amazon? Whatever the case may be, you're capable of doing anything if you continue to go through it, to get to it, and you change your mindset into thinking that, what can I do versus I don't have or I'm not sure. It's changed my life, and I'm pretty sure it'll change yours.
Yes, it makes a difference between who's going to make it in this industry and who doesn't. Your mindset says everything about you, not just in this industry, just in life in general. If you keep thinking you can't do something, you're not going to. And even in your examples, like, okay, I don't have the money to do this. How can I get the money? I will even challenge that with how can I do it without needing that money? Like, what are the other ways that I can get to this without having to need that money? That's being creative. Again, in this Corona situation, we all have to find creative solutions to stay relevant as artists, as creative people in the industry, and also find ways to keep those ways going next to the traditional ways when everything opens up. Because that's the real benefit if you can come up with those creative opportunities. Thank you again so much for your insight, your knowledge, your inspiration, your motivation. People, I got 2 copies. I will tell you this. If you can come up with a real original way to pitch yourself to me, I'm going to send you the other copy. I just came up with that.
I like that.
Didn't even think of giving this away in this talk. So whoever is watching in part 2, if you can come up with a creative way to pitch yourself to me, you get this copy. I'll send it to you. I'm not going to autograph it because it's not my book, but but I'll send it to you for free.
Well, when I get my next shipment of books, I gotta send you an official autographed book though, since you bought so many books. I gotta write it.
Then I'll give the other copy away again. Right.
We'll continue to pay it forward. That's all.
Yes, exactly.
Now, thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody out there. Make sure you follow me at Mogul Status. Like I said, I'm very accessible. Make sure you also sometime mid-August, I'll be announcing it prior, but I'll be launching a brand new company called The Creator Plug. thecreatorplug.com. Basically, what it is, it's kind of like the Ticketmaster for online events. So even stuff like this, where Pay may be doing some, one-on-ones with various industry executives, etc. She'll be able to put her events on there, promote it, through the company, and also eventually, maybe if she wanted to do, let's say, a seminar, we could talk about putting an idea together and doing something online. So it's basically to keep everybody aware of what's going on online, not only during COVID, but this is the way of life going forward. Yes. So this is just something I felt that needed to happen. So you can follow me at Mogul Status, you can follow me at The Creator Plug, and make sure you check out my new clothing line called Mogul Status, MGLSTS. Get yourself a hat, shirt, all that. All right.
I'll be gearing up, books aside, and everything.
All right, so have a good day. Appreciate you.
Thank you. You too.
All right.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. And I'll be back on Wednesday with part 2 with vocal coach, singer Romeo Johnson, because he has 30 years of experience in the industry. We couldn't fill that in an hour. We didn't have the time to do it right after that, so we are doing a follow-up on Wednesday. Also a person with great connections, network, experience, knowledge, inspiration. Thank you, everyone. And I'll be looking forward to that pitch if you want to win the book. Thanks again and be safe. Bye.